Well, we have made it back to our comparison between the nice police pistol here, which is the first one that they used. This is the model 64-8 built by Smith & Wesson. Very nice 6-shot revolver in a stainless steel version. A lot of New York police officers carried this right here for years and years and years. I think they stopped making them long about 1988, or they stopped carrying them then. And they don't build this particular pistol anymore. This is a 64-8. You can always find out which one you've got if you go down inside the frame somewhere along in there. Let's see if we can find that. Somewhere along in there, I believe you can see it. And let's see, I think it's right there. 64-8, right there on the frame. So it is a 64-8, like I say, one of the first police pistols that they used. Then the police swapped over to the Glock. This is not the particular model that they use, but they use something similar to this. A lot of your police begin to use the Glock 17, the original one, which is a full-size 9mm double stack, and some of them use the smaller G48, which is also a 9mm double stack. This particular one is kind of a plain Jane model Glock. It is a 9mm, but this is the model G48. And let's go ahead and eject this magazine out. Take a look at this. You can clearly see that's a single stacker there. It'll go up to 10 rounds. So today, the very first topic that I want to cover is the proper way to load one of these if you only had one bullet. And I just want to do the cover this from a safety standpoint. We want to check both these guns empty first before we start. You can clearly see that one. Simplicity tells you got 6 blank holes and it is empty. You can go a little further step if you want to and hold it up to something light colored and look through, and that gun is definitely safe and empty. So we've got that. Then over here, what I like to do is always pull the magazine out. That's step one. And then I like to, even though this is one-handed, I like to do a pinky test on the chamber itself. And the reason that I do that is if it's dark, or maybe you're very tired, maybe you drank too much NyQuil or something else that might cloud your judgment, you cannot beat the pinky test. So I like to use pinky test. This one's empty. So how would we load this? We just want to load one bullet. This is the way we're going to do it. Now, I have seen people out shooting on a range. They get down to their last bullet and they decide on a Glock, hey, I know what I'll do. I see that opening right there. I'll just drop this one round in that hole right there, and then I'll let the slide go forward and slam, and it'll load it up. That one went away. So you don't want to do that, and the reason is because the extractor claw, which is mounted right here, that extractor claw is designed to be forward and be magazine fed. If you let that slide slam forward with one in the chamber all by itself, what happens is that extractor claw face will strike on the rim of this shell, and it will hit the rim of that, and it can break that extractor claw. Now, it's not going to break it on the first time. It might not break it on the second time, but you're going to begin to damage. It'll chip. What it'll do is it'll chip that extractor claw, and it'll still extract, it'll still function. They're tough guns, they can take that, but it's not designed for it. And if you do it enough times, you will damage that extractor claw enough that you'll make that gun start to malfunction. So if you only had one bullet, now I know there's some professional shooters that watch these videos. Please keep in mind that I'm talking to people that have never picked up a gun in their life before, and I'll have some things for the experts too. So we take this and put this down for just a second. I'm going to load this up. Okay, we've got the one round loaded now. So there's the one round. This is the proper way to do a one bullet load on this type of a gun. Always put that single bullet in the magazine. I like to lay the magazine down like this on its backside and give it a little wrap. The old Army guys, they would slap that against their helmet, and that made sure all your bullets are seated properly to the rear. That's a good practice to do. So we're going to insert the magazine in there. I'm going to take the gun and set it down. We're going to make sure that magazine is seated all the way, no problem. And then we're going to let that slide go forward. Now that is a properly loaded gun. Notice my finger is over here, up on the slide, away from that trigger. That is 1 round ready to shoot in that Glock. And that's pretty simple. That's 1 round, it's ready to go bang. I'm not going to shoot it now. I'm going to go ahead and extract that real quick. And now we have a safely unloaded gun. One of these days I will get my filming crew in here so that you can watch me do all of that. But I racked the slide to the rear and ejected the round. And now we can go ahead and take the magazine out. Magazine's out. We can do our pinky test. Notice I keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction. Pinky test, and pinky says there is no round in the chamber. That's the proper name for that. That's the chamber. That is what makes this technically a pistol. A pistol has a chamber and it has a magazine, and when you fire the gun, it reloads the next round into the chamber. That's a pistol. Pistola, the pistol. That's kind of a German thing. European thing, but it's true. That makes that a pistol. So we're done with that. That's all I wanted to say about single shot loading the Glock. Do not do it without the magazine. You will chip and eventually break your extractor claw. So I hope you learned something new on that. Now over here, we have a nice revolver. This is technically not a pistol. And I'm going to grab just any particular bullet here. Let's just grab one of these little round lead nose bullets. Now, before we do that, we pick this up empty. Go ahead and lock the cylinder in. I won't slam it. Some people thought I was going to break the gun, but we're not running over it with a Jeep yet. We like to pull the hammer back slowly. Notice the round is still there. I'm not loading. I just want to take note of the direction that cylinder rotates. And for people that have a digital clock, never use the analog clock, you might not know this, but that is going counterclockwise. So that means if I want to load 1 round in this, I need to put it in the cylinder. I'm only doing one, just one. I'm pretending like I only own 1 bullet. It's life or death. So what I need to do now, if I put that at 12 o'clock, and lock it, that's not going to work. Let's see if I can show you this. See, you can't even see that. Why can you not see that round? Because you can there. See, it's at 12 o'clock. It is as high as you can possibly get it. So when I pull the hammer to the rear, look where that went. Now I'm going to take a big old chance. I'm going to right here on my chessboard, I'm going to let that hammer fall. Watch closely. Here goes the hammer. Oh, no noise. You know why? I didn't have it lined up properly. Now, I know you experts that have been shooting guns all your life, you'll go, what is this guy doing? Well, I'm just trying to show you how the gun works. This is a hypothetical situation. This is if you only had 1 bullet. Okay, now let's see if we could get it where it would shoot. Okay, so we put the round in there, put it in the cylinder. This time, since we know it goes counterclockwise, we're going to put it at what I would call about the 1 o'clock position. Let's see if we can get it locked in 1 o'clock. And I'm going to wiggle it around a little bit till I hear it latch. And we'll latch it right about there. And look where it came out, okay? 12 o'clock is right there. And you go around a clock. You're coming around, 11 will be on the left, then 12 straight up. And then as you keep dialing, you would end up at a 1 o'clock. See the 1 o'clock position? So now at 1 o'clock position, if I was to pull that hammer to the rear, now let's see where the bullet went. The live round. Let's call it a live round. Where did it go? It is in the 12 o'clock position. What does that mean? Well, that means now I better not be aiming it at my chessboard. I better be aiming it out there in the yard to see if it's going to shoot. And Sure enough, it did go bang. Why? Because it was in the 1 o'clock position, and when I rotated the cylinder by cocking it, it came around. So it advances it. Every time you pull that hammer to the rear, it's going to advance it one position only. So watch again. That's a dead round. We have fired it. But on the next time I cock it, watch where it goes. 12 o'clock. So right there, if it was a live round, it would fire. It didn't fire then because we've already shot it. So now, let's go ahead and pull that out. We fired our 1 round. And that extracts it. That little extractor pin right there, push it out and get that out of the picture. Okay, so that one made it. Safe and sound, no problem. But we're not talking about big differences in the 2 gun, except just to show how to load a single round in each one of those, and covered a little bit about safety, how not to break your extractor, how to always make sure you're timed in the proper position if you only have 1 round left for some reason. And maybe you're trying to get out of the woods and keep yourself safe from something, or maybe you're trying to get something to eat. You only got 1 bullet left. You want to get it right. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with another nice video here at Shoot Fire with Ashley. Over and out for now. All right, here we are back at the farm with 2 very nice pistols to shoot at today, and we're just going to talk about what's technically the pistol over here on the right-hand side. This is one that is very popular, the Glock pistol. And over here, one that has been done away with, but Smith makes some very similar to this. This is the model 64-8. It is a 38 Special Smith & Wesson. And this is a plus P, meaning it can shoot the hotter load than just a regular 38 Special. The first thing I want to talk about on these today is some strengths and some weaknesses. And we're not trying to blast. We are not, listen, we are not putting this gun against this gun and trying to make this one beat this one up or this one beat this one up. We're looking at some similarities and we're looking at some big differences. So today's big difference is we're going to talk about ammo selection. So we'll start over here with the first police pistol. This is what they used for years and years, kind of like a Model 10. This one, when it went to stainless steel, they call it a Model 64. They had a 64-1, -2, -3, all the way up to a 64-8. I think in 1988 or so, they stopped producing this pistol. So if you buy one of these now, you'll be looking at getting in a police turn-in that's been turned into a company somewhere and may not have ever been shot much and cleaned often and could get a good deal. These are worth about $400 or so. Sometimes you can find them for $3. First thing I want to talk about on the Revolver. The Revolver is very forgiving on what kind of ammunition that it can take. It has a cylinder that holds 6 shots, 6 live rounds to go in there. Let's get this to the white where you can see it on the old chessboard. That's empty. But here's the cool thing about a Revolver. For a beginner, if it's a beginner shooter or especially a beginner reloader, this is definitely the gun that you want to start off with. Now look at the ammo that I've got here. I'm not a rich man, but I ended up doing some horse trading and got this nice police revolver and a sack of several bullets to go there with. So let's look at the ammo. The first one, someone did some handwriting on that Remington box, UMC. That's 38 Special plus P, 125 grain jacketed hollow point. Now that's a very good personal defense ammo. That's very similar to what the cops used for years and years in a .357 Magnum. That's Remington Peters, 38 Special. Notice it says plus P. So that's a pretty hot load. Still not going to have a lot of recoil in a 38 Special, but it's got the really soft hollow point. That's going to expand out and give you some good stopping power. It's definitely not going to be 38 caliber. When it hits, it's going to get on out there. So that is a round that will fit. Now, the only thing you have to know is it has to say 38 Special, and it has to be able to go into that cylinder and not stick out the front, as long as it's not sticking out the front, it will shoot that round. So that one passes the test. We'll use our extractor rod here, push that right back out, get him up where everybody can see it, and we will push that out, and out it comes. So that's the first one. He passed the test. That is a hot hollow point. The next one is Herder's. I've never heard of that in my lifetime, but there it is. Herder's Tenacious for Quality. That's 138 grain, full metal jacket. Notice we have changed the profile of the bullet a little bit. It is a flat nose, not a hollow point. It looks like it is a copper jacketed bullet, full metal jacket, no lead exposed and no hollow point. Only thing we have to do to see if it'll shoot is check the caliber. It says 38 special, and this is not a plus P, so it's going to be a little less power. And all you got to do, it's actually a target load, is slide it into the cylinder, see if it will go in, check and see if it sticks out the front, and it doesn't. I know that's kind of silly, but you'll see why here in a little while. Some people reload these, and they'll make a bullet too long for the cylinder, and it's going to lock your gun up. So that's just a thought. The next one is also a 38 special. This is built by Federal, and they call this 158 grain lead RN. Wonder what that means. That's a nurse department? No, that means round nose. So that is a straight lead bullet right there. No copper jacket, just straight regular old lead. Much like if you did some reloading, that's what your bullet would look like. That's the cheapest way to make a bullet, just a hard cast lead bullet. That could even be soft cast. It still works. So here's what we look at. Check the caliber. This is a Federal 38 special. Sometimes they just write SP, short for special. This is not a plus round, so it's not going to be high power. We just take it, line it up to the cylinder, put it in the cylinder. Did it go in? Yes, it did. Did it stick out the front? No, it doesn't. So we're good. So that one will shoot. See what I'm getting at here? This thing is not picky about ammo. It doesn't care. If it'll go down the tube, come out the end of the barrel, does not matter what gas pressure it has or anything else, as long as it's rated for that gun. The last one is Precision Delta. Again, a shell I have never in my life seen. And they call that 148 grain, and it says HBW. That means it is a hollow base, and the tip is a wad cutter. Wad cutter means it's going to cut a very clean hole in the paper. Say, there's not a bullet in there. There's a bullet in there. They just chose to put it down inside there because it's really hollow. It's hollow on the tip a little bit, flat face, and they call that a wad cutter. And that's just shooting targets. So again, we check the caliber. What does it say? It says it's a Remington Peter shell. Precision Delta, that's a reload, I guarantee you. It is a 38 special. Let's check that box and see if those are remanufactured. What do you know about that? Precision Delta remanufactured ammunition. That means they borrowed somebody else's case, used their powder and primer, and they built that in their bullet, but they used a Remington Peter, really nice case too. It's a nickel-coated case, so that's nice. So will it shoot this? We load it into the cylinder, push it in, make sure it goes good and flat. We turn it up. We know that one won't be sticking out, and we're clear for takeoff. So that is pretty cool. I like that about a revolver, and if you're hand loading, I'm telling you, this is definitely a fun gun to reload for. If you make a little mistake and you put not quite enough powder or medium powder, or you get up there pretty hot, no matter what kind of bullet, copper, lead, brass, as long as it's the right caliber. Say, what caliber is this? Well, it says 38 special, but this is exactly the same caliber as a 357 Magnum would be. And if you look it up in the reloading chart, it is .357. So technically, it is a 357, and they made the case a little bit shorter. It holds less powder, so it becomes a 38 special. Back in the day, the 38 special was a low-pressure cartridge, and they were using black powder, so it is that old. So we've got that. we've got that covered now. Everybody understands that. Now let's take a look over here. Now, that was a strength of the revolver, is that it could shoot all kinds of different ammo. You could do your hand loads and not be even that good at it. Maybe your crimp wasn't perfect on the case mouth. Maybe your bullet length wasn't exactly right. It'll still go bang and come out the barrel. And you still need to follow your book. Don't make them too short because you make your pressure go up too high. But over here, we got a Glock. Now, this Glock, as precise as it is, and nice combat weapon and all that good stuff, it has a little bit of it's a little finicky when it comes to ammo. I'll give you a good example. So here's the ammo. I only had one factory ammo. Of course, there's lots of ammo out there, probably 100 different kinds. But today we are looking at the Remington. This is range ammo, 9mm, 115 grain, FMJ. That stands for Full Metal Jacket. That bullet has a jacket wrapping up the round itself. And you can see that's a beautiful thing, man. It's beautiful. And this is factory ammo. What do they call it? Let's take a look at the back side. That is called a 9mm, and it's Remington Peters, and they call it 9mm Luger because the original German gun that they shot these out of was the Luger. So that's what it is. And there's different 9mm out there too. There's a 9x18. That's a different animal. This is 9x19, technically speaking. And may or may not say that on the box. It does not. This is range ammo. That's just practice ammo. 50 rounds of centerfire ammo. It says target and plinking. That's what it's rated for. But that's a good round. Full metal jacket. That's the right length and the right type and the right powder and everything will function out of this gun all day long. It'll shoot it whether it's oily, whether it's dry, whether it's hot weather, cold weather, soapy, sandy, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you don't jam the chamber full of dirt. That thing's going to shoot and it's going to go. Now, let's say that you are a reloader and you wanted to reload some ammo for this gun. What do you need to know? Well, how is this gun operated? This gun is operated off the gas pressure in the chamber and the recoil of that slide. So if I reloaded a round and I didn't put enough powder in there, then it might not have enough pressure to make that slide go all the way to the rear. Now, there's a strong spring in there called your recoil spring. And if you don't have enough horsepower inside that case, enough gas pressure to make that slide overcome the recoil spring, then what'll happen is the slide will go about 3/4 of the way to the rear and it won't pick up the next round. It may even eject the round. It'll eject your case from the spent cartridge, but it may not pick up the next one. So that's where it gets picky. Now, what happens over here if you're only put 3/4 of the amount of powder that you needed? The bullet's going to go down the barrel and it just doesn't care. So how does it load the next round? Let's talk about that for just a second. It loads the next round because when you pull that hammer to the rear, it's built like a clock. It has gearing in there. And your thumb is operating that revolver. It is setting up the next live round to shoot. Say, well, that's basic stuff. Remember, there's people that are watching this video that have never touched a gun in their life, and now they've decided the Second Amendment means something. Now that we've got 10 million visitors that came, they have decided that they want to protect the ones that they love. So that's something to know. This one is much more forgiving on ammo. Over here, you got to have things right. They've got to be good and tight and right. And like the Germans do things, precise. That's a German gun. These are made in Austria. So let's take a look at some of Grandpa's hand loads and see what we can determine. So the first one here, I'm going to open it up, is a hand load that I built. Let's dump some of these bad boys out. These are for shooting aliens, okay? That's what those are. Those are, you can tell because they're green. See, they're green bullets. And they're hard cast lead. I took a bunch of wheel weights, melted them down. I bought a Lee mold. I love Lee molds because they're inexpensive and they do a great job. And when I poured these, I poured them just by the book spec, exactly the right temperature and all that, and they dropped out beautiful. And when I went to load them, they were fine except for one thing. These were great. See how they look a little bit short? They look short, but they're not short. They're shorter than a factory round, but they're not short for what they're doing, and you'll see that here in just in a second. Let me get a little more specific here. See if you can see this. The factory load on your left does a great job. Fires, goes bangs every time. Ejects, runs very, very reliably. The round on the right is Grandpa's homemade. I'm using that chessboard as a reference. You can see the little green one's a little shorter. The one on the right, the one I built, is 1.023 inches. He looks a little short. The one on the left is taller. You can see that clearly. He has a 1.125 book specification for a full metal jacket bullet. If you'll notice the one on the right, though, he don't have the same curvature. That rounded part is called an ogive or ogive. You can pronounce it however you like. Ogive. And that is the curvature of the bullet, the radius of it. And the green one, the alien killer on the right, is a little bit fat. So that means if you make it full length like the one on the left, it's going to jam into your rifling and it's going to jam that gun up every time. So how do you know that? Well, let's just say the first ones that I built, let's put these little alien killers, we'll put them right back in their little special jar. And now the Papa Bear is going to show some of his vulnerability. And I'll show you my first ones that I built that are officially rejects. Get down, little dog. Say, which little dog? This little dog right here, that's Wolfenstein. She's a little German Shepherd dog, and she's wolfy. So, let's take a look at those rejects that Grandpa built. There's some of those. We'll take those and line them up against factory. Now watch this. There's that. And there's factory. Let's get these lined up nicely. And guess what I did? This is a brand new bullet for me. There was no book spec on this bullet. I didn't have a book number to look at. I just had Lee's number. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll be a real smart man, and I'll take my calipers, and I'll take the book spec, whatever I can find on lead cast bullets, and I will make it match that. So that's what I did. And I got it all matched up good. See that? So the one on the left is 1.125 factory spec. The one on the right, Grandpa's first lead cast bullets with a proper taper and everything, the right powder, everything's right. The length on it is 1.125 also. Only problem is when you drop that in a modern Glock or a Walther PDP and let the slide go forward, your slide will not shut all the way. And the reason is because that bullet, its ogive, its curvature, causes it to touch your lands and grooves, your rifling in the barrel, long before the gun gets completely shut. So then what do? Well, believe it or not, if you let that slide go forward and slam, it will wedge that lead in there. You won't be able to get your slide open. Pull the mag out, go to jerking on that slide, and you can't get it to come out. You can't pull hard enough to get it out. So what did I do? Well, don't do this. Don't do this. It was just shy of closing, so I took a dead blow hammer and I tapped on the back of the slide very gently, got it to shut, and I fired the round safely, and nobody got hurt, and we rolled on down the road. But then I figured out what the problem was, and I made the nice shorties for aliens. Now, we have not had to shoot any aliens yet, but that's what those are for. If the aliens land out here anywhere in the yard, around that playground equipment or whatever, it's purely hypothetical, but that's what those are built for. That's why they're green. So these long ones became my rejects, and all I'll do with them is we will put them in the press someday and change the bullet pusher a little bit, push them on down, and then they will be just fine to shoot. But right now I'm using them. I saved them for your knowledge. Save them for an example. Now I'm going to show you one more trick. Watch this trick. Would you like to have a nice gauge to be able to check your bullets to see if they'll fit? Look at this. They built it right into the gun. You've got a special gauge that you can check. So here's how you do it. Put your barrel like that. Let's see if that'll stand up. Take a factory load and drop it into the barrel like that. And it should go down. It should go down flush. All the way flush. Look at that with the barrel. See that? And if you do it just right, drop it just right, it'll make kind of a sound. It'll sound like a little clunk. Try it at the house. Shut off all the TVs, all the radios. Put all the kids outside. Tell the dog stop barking. Give them a bone. And just drop it several times. You'll get that clunk. But the main thing is, too, that needs to be really, really level and flush with that back end of that barrel. Now watch this. Let's try one of these rejects, okay? Here comes the long fat boy rejects. Watch this. Here's the fat boy. See how long it is? It even looks long. It looks extra long. So we sit the barrel up. I'm not gonna make a drop on this. I'm gonna do an insertion. I'll move this out of the way so we got some good contrasting colors. And let's see what we got here. So we drop that down in there. Ruh-roh. Say, well, you need to push it down a little bit. Yeah, try that. See that? That is not flush, man. That is no good. And when the slide slams forward, it actually pushes that down some, but it still does not get where it needs to be. Say, what about those other ones that you said are good? Will they pass the test? Well, that's a very good question. We might as well break out the known good ones and see what we can do with one of them. That sounds like a great test to do. Okay, here's the known good ones. Let's see if they look short first off. Oh yeah, they look nice. They look like a little shorty. See that? A little short lipstick thing too. All right, so we put the barrel up here like this. This is experimental stuff. Isn't this fun? This is how you learn stuff. Watch people that have made mistakes, and that's a good experience teacher. Now watch this. I'll load this in the tube there. Let it go down without touching it now. Look at that, look at that, look at that. See how that is? Looks factory, doesn't it? It looks factory. Now, obviously on a load like this, where that bullet's pushed down the case farther than normal, you wouldn't want to try to load that with the hottest powder known to man with the maximum book pressure spec out of the book. You want to stay intermediate, so there's no problem with pressure. And it works great, and I've shot a whole bunch of those. So are you sure that those will go bang? Well, let's check. Okay, here's one of those little short guys, little short lipstick tube. See that? Now see, it's short. That's the one out of the good jar. The one out of the bad jar, we're gonna put these aside. We'll get them capped off. We're not gonna mix the two together. Ne'er shall they ever meet. We're not gonna blend them in the magazine just so we can do a bunch of malfunction testing. Save that for somebody else that wants to have their nerves checked out. So there's the shorty. See the shorty? Okay, here we go. Okay, got the shorty. He is in the magazine. In the magazine. This is the shorty, the alien green. And we're going to let that slide go forward. Now you see him right there. I don't want you to think I'm pulling a fast one on you. You see that? He's in there. That's the shorty. And then, of course, a bunch of golden doodles are going to come out. They are not on the target list today, so we cannot shoot at them, and we don't plan to. Those are for sale. Yes, you can contact us. So we're going to shoot over here in a safe direction. Make sure it's safe. You can see the gun. We want to see if these will go bang. Ready? Oh, look at that. It did. That's a 9mm. Shot one single shot. And that was an alien round built out of wheel weights. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope some of this made sense. Please keep in mind, we didn't run over any of these guns today with our Jeep. That was a purely hypothetical situation. But I hope that this came as a blessing to you and a little bit of informational stuff that'll help you down life's road. Enjoy shooting. If you're going to be a reloader, this is the direction to go when you start. Once you do start casting bullets, make sure you remember that not all bullet profiles are the same. The ogive or the curve of the bullet is much different on some lead cast bullets than others, and you may have to come up with your own specification for the length on it. So, hope this helps you a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. Please tap the like and subscribe, and we'll see you back on the next video. Over and out for now.